this lesson, where we now discuss one by one the strategies you could be able to use in your own classroom setting. So these strategies are actually called active learning strategies, and the first one we discuss is on peer instruction. So when you speak of peer instruction, is that you have your own classroom, your own setting. You have students, maybe 50 or 80 or 70 students in your classroom. What we do is that in the first place, we pose a certain question, a question which you think may elicit some discussion in the process, because when you speak of peer instruction, you have to make sure that you are generating good questions that will elicit or will simulate some sort of discussion that may take place when you are teaching your classroom. So first of all, you have to ask a question to your students. If you are using Blackboard, you could write your question on the Blackboard. If you're using your projector, you could write your question on your screen, or your PowerPoint, so that it is projected on the screen. Or in many cases, when you're using technologies like a Mentimeter could help you be able to do this easily, because when you write your question on Mentimeter, you could be able to allow your students to be able to participate by using their computers on their laptop in the lab, or using some tablets or smartphones to be able to give you live responses on what they think. So the first step that you have to do is that you have to ask questions to students. Now, when you ask a question to the students, what they have to do first of all is everyone will vote. So I give you an example. So I say, like, I could take an example from, let's say, geography. So I would say, maybe what causes day and night, for instance, in geography. So in that case, what you do, you just have to have certain answers. So you have some choices. So it's basically, when you speak of peer instruction, the peer question has to be a multiple choice question, which has some sort of choices. So when I say, like, what causes day and night in geography? So there should be some question, maybe rotation of the Earth, rotation of the Moon. Number C, maybe a revolution of the sun or revolution of the moon. So you have 4 choices to that particular question. And then you want to know how much your students know. And in that case, what you do, the next step you do is to make sure that you are allowing your students to be able to vote. Now, when we are voting, we can use many mechanisms. Voting could take place in terms of writing one. If you say A, number 1, or choice number 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4 in the classroom. So if those who are saying 1, they say 1. Those who are saying 2, they say 2. Those who are saying 3, they say 3. Choice number 4, they say 4. But then when they are voting, you have to be very careful, because we don't like our students to be able to copy answers of each other to see what has my neighbor said and what can I be able to do. What we do is that we are putting your hand here. So 1, if it is 1 or choice 1 or A, you do like this, A. If it is 2, like this. 3 like this, 4 like this. This helps the students not to be able to see what others have said, and therefore your response should not be influenced by someone who has said. And in that case, you'll be able to see the genuine responses. And in that case, you have to make a count and see how many have said 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can be able to see, oh, so it looks like this topic was not well understood, and therefore I need to make some effort to repeat or to clear some doubts or something. So it gives you a picture of how your students are doing. Okay, now let's say you have got maybe 50 of the class have said the right choice and 50 have said the wrong choice. Now what you do is that the third step is that you allow them to be able to pair. So me and my neighbor, someone and his neighbor. And then the pairing session, you tell them to be able to discuss again. So the discussion part happens. So you discuss among yourselves. What have you said? Yeah, I have said so and so and so, and my choice was this because so and so and so, and he gives a choice to me. Your choice was that because so and so and so. You discuss and then come to a consensus. So okay, if one had said A and the other one had said B, therefore they could come to a consensus and say, okay, so the right answer was A. Yes. So then they come to vote for A, number 1. So in the next session, because the next session after peer discussion is actually re-voting, where you expect your students to be able to re-vote again. So you say, okay, now time for discussion, maybe discussion time will take 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Now time for discussion is over, come back to the class, discuss, hey, come back. And then you say, okay, now it's time for voting again. So we are re-voting again. When we are voting, you are starting again, okay, how many say A? How many say B? How many say C? How many say D? You repeat the same process. So in the process, when you are repeating, you'll be able to see the change in responses from the first response which you had gotten to the next response now, which you are getting right now. So it could be that now maybe 90% of your students have now changed to the right answer, and then maybe 10 or 7 or 5% still have some doubts. So in that case is when now the next step that you come to is where you have the debriefing in group discussion now, where you come back as a teacher to give explanation, which was the right answer, which was not the right answer, and why this is the correct one and why that one is not the correct one. So in that case, you're helping your students be able to clear the doubts they have, but at the same time, be able to learn from peers, because they are in the former stage, they have to discuss with their peers. And then in the later on, finally you come to make a conclusion, therefore, that when this happens, it is because of this and this and that, and therefore, this is what it has to be. That's how peer instruction mechanism is. So this can be applied in many ways, and there are many teachers who have been able to apply this particular mechanism in the classroom. We'll be sharing some few videos down there so that you can be able to learn from them and how they have been able to apply their own ways in the classroom. So remember, generally, when you speak of peer instruction, it involves stages like, first of all, you create your own question, which has choices. And then the second stage is that you do voting from your class members. If you have 70 students, expect 70 students. And voting can be done in many ways. You can do the counting by using your hand. In many cases, you can have piece of papers written A, B, C, D, or choice 1, 2, 3, 4, which correspond to the choices you have put on your question. And then you display the papers to your students. Or in many cases, you can have colors. A is red color, papers with red color. B is paper with black color. C is paper with yellow color. D is another color. So in that case, you give the colors to the one. So those who say A, you raise up your red color. Those who say B, your black color. Those who say C and D, like that. So in that case, you'll be able to get the responses because you can be able to see. There will be many cases or many examples that we'll be sharing down here in the exercises, which will help you be able to know better how to apply active learning strategies, peer instruction in your own ways, in your own setting. And we hope this will help you be able to improve your own ways of teaching in your class and be able to help your students learn better. So generally, if we make a conclusion, therefore, it is peer instruction is a classroom active learning strategy, which exploits the power of peer learning. So learning from each other or learning from individuals. So it's a formative assessment strategy which provides feedback to students as well as teachers. As a teacher, you'll be able to know that your students have been able to learn something, but as students, you'll be able to know that, oh, I was not knowing this, or is it how it works? So again, peer instruction is an effective way, which gets, is effective when the teacher implements this carefully based on the well-designed principles and well-designed questions, so that you get it as an effective way to do that. So yeah, that is basically what we call active learning strategy in the way of peer instruction. Remember, you can do the voting in 2 phases, and you can vote by using hands, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can vote by using cards or papers. You can vote by using technology, Mentimeter. You can use some other technologies like clickers, which will help you be able to do that in your own way. So depending on where you are, you can be able to manage and be able to allow your voting to take place with much ease. Thank you.